mine kind of goes back far. I'm the oldest of the cohort, and so I started off as a printmaker, and I painted nudes, which is something that totally changed when I went to grad school. I graduated in '93, and then I taught middle school for 10 years. And then I won a Fulbright, and after I won my Fulbright, I went back to school and I got my MFA. My MFA was, my instructor wanted me to be an abstract painter. He did not want me to paint nudes anymore. So I totally changed my work, and my work ended up being all about music. It's the feeling that you get when you're in a group of people, like in a dark space, and the movement and the lyrical vibrations that you get between the people in the crowd, and it's becomes this whole, it's a commonality. Everyone's the same. No one's different. Everyone has the same kind of feel. So I worked a lot with handmade paper. I created a lot of books. And I did a lot of large-scale oil paintings. Again, you can kind of see the feel of the work. I was totally into color, which is kind of weird when you see my work now, which I'm trying to get back to. Then after I graduated, I worked at the Art Institute of Fort Worth, and I was a teacher. I was still working on lots of paintings for myself, but I taught all kinds of stuff to my students. I taught sculpture for animation, I taught anatomy for animation, I taught graphic design, which I didn't even have a degree in graphic design. Somehow I ended up teaching it, and I became associate professor of graphic design. Very weird. So I met Arthur in grad school, and we actually taught together at the Art Institute also. And during that time I got married, and Arthur and I have stayed close, and that's how I knew about the Cedars. So I just wanted to kind of put that in there, because he and I have been really tight for a long time. 15 years, 16 years? Yeah, 17, 18 years, something like that, 19 years. So in 2014, I started a series of environmental work. These are large scale. This one is 6 feet by 4 feet. This one is 4 feet by 4 feet. They are aerial images. They're normally taken from either Google Maps or from, a lot of them were taken from TV. This is actually from Making a Murderer, the Avery Yard. If you've seen that show, it happened, I think, during COVID. It became really big, and this was the junkyard. And so these all have facts that are written within them. So the paintings have facts about environmental issues within them. This piece is a mixed master that's in Fort Worth, and it has facts that talk to you about how long. In 2014, DFW had the 6th highest amount of traffic in the United States. We spend 45 hours in traffic in a year, and $1,077 of extra gas money. So those are all hidden within here. This piece is about cars, and how many cars are 12 to 15 million cars are put into junkyards. And if we recycled these cars, 75% of a car is recyclable. If the cars were recycled, they could power 18 million houses in a year, but we don't do that. So, so I did this environmental series, and then in 2020, I quit teaching in 2019, and I decided that I was just going to paint and all this crazy happened. Like, my world kind of blew up. I had bilateral frozen shoulders. It's where you can't lift your shoulders. With that, COVID hit. My house got hit by a car, which is crazy because I live in the middle of a block, and I was displaced out of my house for 6 months. My husband was really, really sick, and my brother was diagnosed with cancer. So it was like all these crazy things that were happening. And then through that, I ended up going into therapy because I was depressed. You can kind of see that. So I went into therapy, and when I went into therapy, I learned about that I was holding on to all of these things that had happened to me when I was younger. I had had an abortion when I was young. I went through IVF when I was 38 and when I met my husband. And I never had kids. And so like I had all these like crazy, I thought that being a mother was something that I had to have. So that was a big thing for me. I also didn't know my real father. So I had like abandonment issues about my dad. So through going through EMDR therapy, I learned how to deal with my trauma. And through that, I started this series called Decay. And it was about how things are one thing, but then they're changed, but they're still beautiful after they're changed. So, and then like the train cars was a part of going back and forth. And if you look in the one behind it, oh, sorry, I'm going the wrong direction. I look kind of doped. I was doped up for like 3 years. So like, I couldn't drive, I didn't go anywhere. And when I did go places, my husband had to take me. So on the way to therapy, which would be like me having my shoulders manipulated, there's a train yard. And so like I'd see trains every day. And so I became kind of fascinated with the trains. I started taking pictures of all these trains. And so in 2021, in between one of my surgeries, I started painting these train cars. And so that's how the Decay series started. And if y'all noticed my studio, I had 2 series of work, which everyone thought I was crazy for having them. But the Decay series was like colorful, and it was like really easy for me. And it kind of went back to my old style of working from when I had my MFA. And then in 2024, I started the empty nest syndrome, and that was really what came out of my therapy and this kind of abandonment and these nests. Like this was, and again, my work has become very personal, and it's become very cathartic for me. So I ended up getting all these clocks from my father that I met when I was 30. I didn't meet him until I was 30. And he gave me 18 clocks that were made by my grandfather that I didn't know. And so I took these old clocks and I turned them into like vessels. And they hold these nests within the vessels. So this is what kind of I came into Cedars with this work. And these are all things that I created while I was here. I created these 12 pieces that are still in my studio that are about the empty nest. I mean, they're about the Decay series. They're from all over the world. They're small little pieces that create a whole. And then I worked with embroidery and created these nests out of embroidery. I also really wanted to go larger. What I came into Cedars for was to get critique. I wanted to move out of my home studio and really have relationships with other people and be able to have criticism. I couldn't find that anywhere else. I've had like 11 or 12 critiques while I've been here, and it's been really cool to talk about my work and feel okay about everything that I've been through within my life. It was reassuring to me to have women come in and be able to talk about my work and what it's about, and then I had a woman cry in my studio. It was really, like, it's been really uplifting for me to know that so many other people have been through what I've been through. 1 out of 3 women deal with some kind of a fertility issue or abortion, and it's something that has really helped me be not so afraid of this work. And I've started working really large. So like this is 6 feet by 3 feet. This one is 36 by 18. And then I just finished this piece, which is 4 feet by 3 feet. More clocks. I've also been going back to some of my old techniques, which is transferring images. So I've started to really transfer images, and I've added color into the nest, which I really like. And then my collaboration that I did with Jordan that I think I really loved it, and I think that I'm going to start using resin on top of my pieces and resining some of these bugs into the pieces. And I hope I'm trying to do a residency out of state so that I can get away from my house and move to a place where I'm stuck there. I did residencies when I was after my BFA, I did Vermont Studio Center, and I did a residency in Connecticut, and I'd like to do that again. I'd like to get away and be stuck in a place where I have to create. I also want to create some of these nests that are made out of paper mache and out of other materials. So that's it. Oh, and then there's fun pictures.